Hello and welcome to the video. This is an overview and review of this thing here. Now, you're looking at it and thinking, well, that's just a Whoop. Actually, it's not just a Whoop at all. This is something a little bit different. It's not something that I've had in before. And inside here, believe it or not, there's actually a skeletonized air unit light with the Caddx camera, and underneath it's running on a 3S battery. This will connect to your DJI goggles, if you have them, and give you about 5 minutes of flight time. Now this has been something that I've been playing with for the past week or so, and it is spectacular. It isn't cheap, but then the air unit light and the camera system in here is $100 on its own. I'll put links down below if you want to go and have a look at it, but stay with me and I'll take you through some of the cute stuff on here that I've been particularly impressed with. So as I show you how this comes in the box, let me go through some of the specs. Again, this is the Beta85X Whoop quadcopter, and this one came from BetaFPV. Now, I've had a couple of things in from BetaFPV, and they seem to make some really nice stuff. And there's various different versions available of this Beta85X Whoop. And even in this particular one here, this is the HD Digital VTX version, you can also order it with lots of different receivers. Now, I ordered mine accidentally with the FreeSky receiver on it. And I'll show you the mod. I actually swapped it over so that it was going to run because I have the DJI FPV controller. Spare set of props, and it just comes ready to go. Everything's set up, everything's installed. And initially I was a little bit confused about, oh, hang on a minute, there's only the one antenna, but of course this is the air unit light. Now again, this has got the real FreeSky receiver, and I'm going to take that off in a minute. Then we have the XC30 connector with the cap connected onto it, and the way it's put together is actually really nice. Weight without a battery is about 66.6 grams according to the manual, but this is the weight without the battery, and this is the weight with. I'm using a Race Day Quads 553S pack. Wheelbase is 85 millimeters. The flight controller is an F4 all-in-one flight controller. The motors are 1103 8000 kV brushless motors, and they're spinning Gemfan 2020 4-bladed props. Again, receiver options are Crossfire, the FrSky XM Plus, and nicely they give the option for both the international and the LBT version of the software, and you can also quickly mod it so that it can actually run from the air unit as well, which is how I'm running it here. The camera angle is adjustable from 25 to 45 degrees, which is nice. I've been flying it on the default one as it's shown in this video, and the air antenna stuck out the back, little baby version, which is really great, color coded to the rest of the model as well. Recommends a 450 mAh 3S battery to run it on, although I've been flying it on a 550 and getting about 5 minutes of flight time, which is more than enough to get into trouble. Now, the really cute thing about this is that lightweight. And one of the ways they've done that is they've actually skeletonized the Nebula Nano kit. They've taken off all the extra casing and decased it and popped it into the top. Now, to do the modification so that the receiver works, all I had to do was desolder the 3 wires for the FreeSky receiver and then add an extra 2 wires from the Nebula Nano kit that's in the top part of the model and connect those onto the ground and the S-Bus in pins, and then I could use my DJI FPV controller. So let's plug it into Betaflight and I'll show you how it works. So this is how, there we go, all moving, tickety-boo. Now this is an F4 based flight controller, as I've said, reasonably modern Betaflight, but there's stuff in the data flash, so this has been armed before it left the factory, which is lovely to see. I'm always a massive fan of that. When there's something in the flash, it means that it wasn't just slapped together, stuck in the box and shipped. So let's go through each of these. I'll show you how it's set up. This is how the port's configured. So the only thing is, serial receiver is UART1, the MSP stuff for the on-screen display for the DJI stuff is set to UART2. So not a load of ports, but just enough. Configuration looks like this. Motor direction is reversed, be aware of that. D-Shock 600, gyro and update frequencies 8 and 4K. CPU load is running about 24-25%, which is kind of standard on an F4 processor with those kind of settings. Let's scroll down a little bit more. S-Bus receiver, which is going to be fine with the mod that I did for the air unit. Everything else is pretty standard. Power and battery looks like that. Failsafe is set to drop, which is where I want it. PID tuning, I'll just go through these. I'll also put the dump and diff files in the description down below if you want to download them and have a look at how we got it set up. It does perform very well. A little bit of prop wash, I'll show you that in a minute in the flying footage. Modes were set by default to this, which aren't bad. I moved a couple of things around. For things like the DJI Air unit, the mapping has to be slightly different, so I just tweaked that so the DJI Air unit would work for my modes and arming. But again, if you're going to use the crossfire option or the free sky option, then you just set it up as you would normally. I'd recommend turning on the beeper, just to give you a chance to find it if it disappears in long grass. You're not going to want to lose this. It is an expensive model, but then you get a lot for your money. Don't forget, of course, that even though it is the HD version, do move everything around in the on-screen display. This is also going to position it in the DJI goggles. So spend a bit of time in here making it look pretty. And then I did do a dump and a diff and save them out to file. Again, links in the description if you want to know more. So what's it like to fly? Well, I thought the best thing to do was just show you a flight that I did a while ago at a friend's farm to give you an idea of what this thing is like. A little bit of vibration on the image, unfortunately. But actually, that is a lovely picture. It is very, very still today. Oh, I can see the sheep. Yep, I've got the sheep. Oh, there's a big kind of well, isn't there? Like a dirty patch where the sheep are. Okay, let's come down the lane. There's no cars on it. Or by the lane. I've no idea. About 120 feet. Oh, ye of little faith. Yeah, this is actually really nice. This is lovely. Considering its size, hovering well under half a throttle. I've been going about a minute and a half, 200 milliamps used. So not a huge amount of time from the battery. But in terms of flying, oh, a little bit of unhappiness, a little bit of prop wash. But actually this is a lovely way to explore. Down at 10.9 volts. Camera performance is pretty nice. Even looking at the sunshine, we've got decent exposure. Just a little bit of wiggle in the image, probably from the props aren't balanced particularly well. How about that? Well, that works. So in summary, what do I think? Well, I think it's fantastic. This is a really good model. This is going to get a 5 pill out of 5 rating. It'll be nice if it was a little bit cheaper, but unfortunately with the amount of technology in here, particularly the fact that I said the Cadix unit is probably about $100 on its own, this is a power whoop, cine whoop. I'm not sure what classification this would be, but it is epic fun. If you have the DJI goggles and you want to fly out indoors, but actually it's got enough power to fly outdoors, as you've just seen, without too much problem. In high winds it would probably struggle a bit. Betaflight setup is really nice out the box. The tune's very good. There is a bit of prop wash when you descend into your own downdraft, so be aware of that, but if you're flying forward all the time you'll be fine. The build and the way it's put together is beautiful. I particularly like the way that they've stripped down the Cadix unit to get to that weight. Really, really nice. And just taking it apart to do the mod, having things like the connector between the flight controller and the stripped down FPV video transmitter just shows some real thought and care. And I guess that's why they've managed to get down to only 68 grams naked and 128 grams with my battery in the bottom. So for those of you that have a 250 gram limit for whatever reason, this is well under that and give you 5 minutes of HD flying around, or less if you want to fly it like a hooligan. It is ready to go out the box, which is lovely, and the spare set of props is nice, although so far, touch wood, I yet haven't managed to break any, but never say never. They're not held on, it's a friction fit, but they just seem to work very nicely. There's only a couple of things to be aware of. Again, I swapped mine out, so the receiver is gone. I'm actually powering it and using the FPV DJI controller thingy, and that's working absolutely fine. The receiver, if you use a separate one, isn't powered from the USB, so you're going to have to apply your battery to bind it. The flight time, again, is only about 5 minutes on a 550. This kind of very lightweight battery, this is the Race Day Quad Series 550 3S, is a smashing battery for it, and as the one that I've been flying it with. And again, I can squeak about 5 minutes, but 4 minutes is probably a more comfortable flight time without really pushing it. The only real downside is there is that little bit of jello in the HD image. I think I'm getting vibration from somewhere. Maybe soft mounting the top cage or something might help, and that might be something I do. Put some kind of rubber grommets or something between the top part of where the camera system is, so maybe the soft mount would fix that. But to be honest, it's not particularly noticeable, but if you fly the DJI system a lot, it's one of those things that once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So in summary, this is a very cute quad, some really smart decisions and some great building choices from BetaFPV. I am impressed. Again, it's not cheap, but then it's not going to be with the technology that is in here, and this is probably the most fun that you can have with your HD system safely indoors. Thank you for watching my video and watching right to the very end. If you want to find out what I'm currently working on, you can follow me on social media by searching for Painless360 in the usual places. If you'd like to become part of the inner circle, then you can become a Patreon. Details are in the description and you get lots of additional benefits. Check out the playlist section on the channel too. I organise all of my videos into playlists, and it's called something like Introduction to or for Beginners. All of the content is aimed so that you can start at the very beginning, and it teaches you that subject, starting with simple principles and moving up to teach you everything you need to know.